Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would do kind of an update video for you guys. I haven't really posted in the past month and a half on this channel, in the past almost 3 months on our family's vlogging channel, and I did have a couple of subscribers reach out to me and ask me like if everything was okay, if we were going to continue doing YouTube on either channel, and they were just very genuinely curious and kind of wondering if everything was okay. So I thought I would kind of sit down and make this video mainly for those couple of you who asked, and I also wanted to say I appreciate you asking. When we started both of these channels, I didn't think we'd have like any subscribers. So I know 150 subscribers is not a ton to a lot of people, but to me, I value every single one of you, 150 subscribers, and the fact that some of you took time out of your day and lives to kind of reach out to me to ask if everything was okay really meant a lot. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on where we've been, where I've been, what's been going on. I'm sure you can tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about my fibromyalgia, and I'm a little hesitant to make this video, so we'll see if it even goes up on YouTube or not. But basically, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia 3 years ago when I was 22, and life has been a whirlwind since getting that diagnosis, and every day is a little bit of a struggle. So I think the best way for me to explain my situation and where I've been is maybe kind of touch on my past a little bit, when I found out I was diagnosed, and then what's been going on kind of recently for you guys, just so that way you guys can know. And if you are new here and this is the first video you're watching, it's probably like a really weird video to catch you on as the first video, but I hope you do check out the rest of my channel, maybe hopefully find something you enjoy. So without further ado, I'll just go ahead and start from the beginning. Okay, so most of my health problems started when I was very young, around 4 or 5 years old. I started getting very chronic migraines and arthritis, and I remember being in kindergarten and not being able to go play with the rest of the kids at recess because it would oftentimes trigger a migraine, so I'd have to sit in the nurse's office. And as far as the arthritis goes, I had it in my knees and in my legs very badly, and we weren't really sure if it was something to like hereditary, if it was genetics, because my grandmother on my mom's side had very bad arthritis, or if it was because I was in gymnastics at the time and maybe I was putting too much strain and pressure on my bones and my joints, because being in gymnastics, like, especially someone like me, I was very committed to it. I'd wake up before my entire family was awake to work out downstairs in our living room, so that way I could, be in tip-top shape and I could have perfect form and all this stuff. I was very dedicated to it, and so we weren't sure what the cause of it was, but I did have it. And as time went on, I started developing a lot of stomach problems. I'd be sick constantly. My stomach would constantly hurt, and I also developed chest pains like in my heart, and we weren't really sure what the root cause of all this was. I was in the doctor's office all the time as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult. I was in the doctor's office all the time. I was always in pain. I was always sick. There was always something new, and it was like I just couldn't catch a break. And it was just very hard. So moving forward in my teen years, because of all of these problems, my PCP, or my primary care physician who'd been seeing me since I was about 12, recommended that I go to a gastroenterologist to have them like look closer into my stomach to see if they could have problems. We had done several CAT scans at this point, and we couldn't find anything. The gastroenterologist used a little camera that they stuck all the way down into my stomach to kind of get a better picture of what was going on. And very fortunately, they didn't find anything, because at this point, the biggest concern was what if it was something super major causing all of these problems, and I'm so fortunate that it wasn't. The gastroenterologist couldn't find anything. And from there, my doctor suggested we also see a cardiologist because of my heart pains. And I went to the cardiologist's office, and they put these like little sticky tabs on me, and they like all had wires that connected to like a little box. And I had to wear that around, I think it was either 2 days or 3 days. Like, I actually left the office with that box, and I was told to resume completely normal activity. And I guess they kind of just wanted to see like what my heart rate pattern was. I'm actually not too sure. Like, at the time, it was just so many things were happening. But luckily, again, there was nothing major that came back with that. And I'm so grateful that there was no heart problems. There was no like heart valve issues or anything. Everything checked out. And then, so that was like when, I guess I must have been like 15 or 16 years old by this point when this was going on. And then I had started developing a pain in my hip. And this pain was debilitating. I mean, I literally could not barely walk for like a week to 2 weeks at a time. And it would flare up in both hips. So like one time it would be the right hip, and sometimes it'd be the left side of my hip. And it was very like random. There was nothing cohesive about like when these flare-ups would happen. Sometimes they'd be like back to back, one right after the other. Sometimes I'd go like 8 months without having a flare-up, and then it would come back. So that was very frustrating, and the doctor looked at it and they did some tests, and luckily, again, there was nothing that they could find, but it really did suck because I was in pain constantly. And I was feeling sick and tired. By this time, the fatigue had set in, and I was tired all the time. And I just almost felt like as if I couldn't go on. And there was also a lot of external things happening. A lot of things had happened to me as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult. And I had also then lost a loved one and went into a downward spiral. And I feel like this is important to mention, but I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety, and I had paranoia tendencies. So, and these were diagnosed by a psychiatrist, and their remedy for me was to put me on about 13 different medications. And I felt like a zombie. Like, I honestly can't even remember. And it's so sad because me and my husband had just like gotten married. Like, we had just gotten married when I went on all these medications, and literally 13 medications. I was taking some of them multiple times a day, and it was just very hard and frustrating. And so being on all these medications really took a toll on me, and I felt like I was a zombie, and I was still in pain. I was still feeling sick, and at the time, my psychiatrist had thought maybe my depression and anxiety had manifested itself into like physical pain. And I was so sick of taking medications, and literally like my body got sick. I ended up getting a very bad ulcer, and I had to be rushed to the emergency room. And the emergency room doctor told me that, in his professional opinion, there was no reason for me to be on all these medications that my psychiatrist had prescribed. And to back his theory up, they kept me to observe me because since I did have a mental health history, they wanted to make sure that I was safe to be released from the hospital, if that makes sense. So they called in an on-call psychiatrist that works with their emergency room department, and she came in and evaluated me and gave me the same thing. She said, you may have these diagnoses, but there's no need to be on so many medications. You're so young. And the emergency room doctor told me that they were literally killing me. Like, my stomach could not handle taking all these medications all the time. So I quit taking them cold turkey, and don't ever do that. If you're watching this, don't ever do that. It was literally a living hell. I went through withdrawal symptoms so badly. I couldn't sleep for a week. I couldn't eat. I couldn't relax. I was just shaking, like, and I was afraid to be left alone. It was very low time in my life. And this happened when I was like 19, 20, just and me and my husband had just gotten married. So it was very hard, and then I had lost another loved one, another person who I was very close with had passed away, and I just didn't know if I could go on anymore. I was constantly in pain, I was constantly sick, I was constantly tired, I was depressed, I was anxious, I couldn't do anything. I literally couldn't even hold a job. Like, I wasn't working, my husband was having to provide for us, and my medical bills were stacking up, and my medical problems were consuming me. And I'm very grateful that my parents let us move back in with them. My mom obviously knew. She's like my biggest cheerleader. She knew everything that was going on. She was with me at the hospital, at the emergency room. She went to all my doctor's appointments with me, and she was very kind enough to let us move back in with her. So we did, and which really helped us. And shortly after getting off all these medications, I found out I was pregnant with my son Liam, who's now 3. And when I was pregnant with him, I felt amazing. Like, I had morning sickness, yes, but my body wasn't in near as much pain as it was. I wasn't near as tired as I was. I wasn't as anxious or depressed as I was when I wasn't pregnant with him. I felt pretty good, and I loved it. But then around 31 weeks, I developed PUPS, which is it's basically like a rash that you can get all over your entire body when you're pregnant. And I'm not really sure why I'm not sure why that happens. So, but I did develop that, and it was extremely painful. And my poor husband and my mom had to put up with so much for me. I thought I was gonna die. Like, it was so painful. And then the following week, I ended up going into early labor right around like the 31, 32 week mark. And my OBGYN, she made me stay in the hospital to observe me for the next 24 hours. And they were able to actually stop the labor. They gave me some medication that was able to stop it, which was really good because he was measuring very small for his size. And then at 39 weeks pregnant, he was still measuring very small for his size, so they had to do an emergency induction. And shortly after he was born, obviously it was like the most magical thing, and he's the best thing that ever happened to me. My body took a turn for the worst, and I didn't know what to do. I was having chest pains constantly. I was in so much pain. And not even from giving birth. Like, sure, there was like normal pains associated with giving birth, but like my rib cages were hurting, my hips were hurting, I could barely move, I could barely do anything. I was sick all the time. And so we went to go see my primary care physician when my son was about 3 months old, and he sent me to get an echocardiogram on my heart to make sure my heart was functioning properly. It's basically like an ultrasound they do on your heart. And it was, so we were fine with that, which was good. And then he told me, he said, I was looking over your chart, and you've been here so many times since you were like 12 years old. And I think it's time, like, you've had all like this pattern of events happening to you. I think it's time that you go see a specialist who can maybe diagnose you and find a better treatment plan for you. And so he recommended me to see a rheumatologist. And I went to go see the rheumatologist. We had kind of sat down. We went over like my entire life history. And he wanted to do a lot of tests. He took a lot of blood to run blood work. They were testing for like Lyme disease, leukemia, all kinds of things. And then he sent me to get an MRI of my head, my neck, and my back. No, it was only 2 MRIs. I think my head and neck were in one, and my back, my lower back was in another. And he had performed several other tests in his office. He called me about a month later back to his office when all the results had come in from all of the MRIs, the CT scans, the blood work, everything had come in. And he sat down and he told me that I had fibromyalgia. And I felt like I was being given a death sentence. I had no idea what fibromyalgia was. And I felt like I would never go on from this, that life would never be the same. And my doctor is very blunt and to the point. He doesn't have a lot of bedside manner, and I can see why, but it was still hard to hear him tell me that, you know, you have fibromyalgia, there's no cure for it, and there's a very real possibility that you'll be in pain for the rest of your life. And being told those things was literally like a death sentence. I immediately started crying. My mom was with me, and we had my 4-month-old son at the time with me in the room, and my mom was trying to console me, and it was just a very like stressful thing. And he had all of these treatment plans that he wanted to do, so he put me on, I think, 5 or 6 different medications, and then he had me going to physical therapy 2 or 3 times a week for like 6 months. And he said, you know, that will help you cope with your pain. And so I did what I was told. I took all the medications. I went to physical therapy several times a week for about 6 months. And I regret it so badly because I became a zombie, a walking zombie. I was still in pain. I was still tired. I still did not feel well. But now, not only that, but then I felt like I was wearing a mask, and I literally just could not express myself. I couldn't find joy in anything. I was like in limbo. I couldn't be sad. I couldn't be happy. I couldn't feel anything, but my body was still in so much pain. And I was on these medications for a while, up until I think my son was almost 1.5 years. And I don't remember a lot of things from his, like from when he was a baby. During that time frame, I can't remember anything. Obviously, I can remember like his first birthday party. I can remember like big things that we like took a lot of pictures of, but like ordinary day-to-day stuff, I can't remember, and I feel like crap because of it. And I regret doing it. I regret taking the medications. I regret all of it. And I had told my doctor my frustrations when my son was about 1.5 years. And I had told him I wanted to get off the medications. I didn't want to take them anymore. So we slowly weaned off all the medications, and I realized I felt better, even though I was in a lot of pain, and I still was super tired, and I didn't feel well. I felt better. Like I could remember things. I could see clearly. I could do things, and I could feel happy and express joy and excitement or sadness and frustration, which is something I had a really hard time doing when I was on all those medications. So after I got off all the medications, I was able to self-manage myself at home, and I would still do my physical therapy exercises at home, and I learned a lot of tips and tricks to kind of, sorry, there's like an airplane flying by. But I learned a lot of tips and tricks that I could use to manage my pain and to not feel as much pain. And that's been the last 1.5 to 2 years of my life, is self-managing it. And I don't take any medications. I don't ever want to take another painkiller again, anything again. So, but basically, so now I'm going to talk about where I've been the past 1.5 to 2 months. Was I had a very bad flare-up in early February with my hips, and I could barely walk for a couple of weeks. So there was that, and then my husband got sick with the flu, so then I was kind of taking care of him, and then my son had gotten sick, and then I had developed a new flaring point for me that was new, that was right here in my teeth, or in my jaw more so. The pain came out of nowhere, and I was literally crying almost all day every day for like a week straight. And I had to break down and take some over-the-counter pain relievers like Advil, Tylenol, that kind of stuff. And I ended up making an appointment with my dentist to make sure that my teeth were okay and it wasn't something like if all my teeth are rotting and falling out or something. I was like actually really afraid. So I went to go see my dentist, and she did like all the x-rays and everything, you know, that they always do when you go. And she did tell me I need to have my 4 wisdom teeth removed, which I did. So, but all of these teeth right here and the jaw were perfect. There was not a single cavity. There's no, like, nothing wrong with the bones up here, like in my jaw. And so we had talked about it, and I was telling her about my fibromyalgia, and she said in her opinion it was probably the fibromyalgia because it affects your like musculoskeletal system. So that's like your bones and your muscles. And so basically that confirmed to me it was a new like flare-up point, and I was in a lot of pain. So this happened in late February, and then I ended up getting my wisdom teeth removed, which is like a whole nother story. I went back to that same dentist's office, but a different dentist was going to remove the 4 wisdom teeth. And they gave me the medication that makes you like a little loopy. And what happened was they started the procedure of pulling out my teeth, and they stopped midway through and said that they couldn't do it because my heart rate was too high. So then we had to drive like 45 minutes out to Bernie, which is a little city like on the outskirts of San Antonio, to an oral surgeon who said that they could see me like right now. If I could make it there, if I could leave the office and get there in the next 45 minutes, they would see me and they would do the surgery. So they did. They put me to sleep and they did the surgery. So but anyways, that is basically where I've been the last month, 2 months. It's been so hectic, and my like life is just so different. And I think I wanted to make this video mainly because a few people had been asking where we were and if we were going to continue doing YouTube or if we were done doing YouTube. And I do still want to do YouTube. I still want to make videos because it's something that I can find a lot of joy in. I'm home all day, every day with my son. And when he takes his naps in the afternoon, or if I wake up before him, which I try to, I have time to do, to do things. And it's, like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's very hard for me to hold down a job because I will get flare-ups in my hip and I can't walk for a week or 2 weeks. And like, what employer is gonna be okay with that, like at random happening? And so that's where that is. I am also a realtor, so I do work from home and do real estate work. When I feel okay, the really good thing about that is I basically work for myself, so I can kind of, pick up clients here and there when I feel like I can do the work. And if I don't, I kind of like take a hiatus on that as well. And I have for the past couple months too. I've just kind of put everything to the side. I've been in a lot of pain these last couple months, so but to answer the questions for the few people that were asking, yes, I still really want to do YouTube. And I do want to start vlogging again on our vlogging channel as well. It's just a matter of finding some balance and knowing like I have to feel okay enough to sit down and think of a video idea and then make the video and things like that. So I don't know. I just wanted to make this video. And then also, if you're watching this and you made it this far in the video, and maybe you're somebody who's struggling with, health problems or anything really, you're just struggling and you feel alone, like, you're not alone. I'm here. I'm hoping some of you guys are there for me. I know a couple of you are very genuine and have already expressed concern. I know you guys are there for me. And so I really wanted to make this to encourage people, because no matter what, at the end of the day, like, I'm gonna be in pain whether I'm in bed or like all day, or if I'm doing something all day. It's not gonna make a difference. Like, laying in bed all day and being under the covers all day is not gonna make me feel better. It's not gonna take away the pain. It's not gonna do anything but make me feel worse. Because when I lay in bed all day, when I give in to that feeling of I literally can't do anything, I feel so guilty knowing like I could have done something today. I could have been productive. I could have achieved something, because no matter what, my rib cage is still gonna hurt. My hip is still gonna hurt. Like, I'm still gonna be super tired all the time, and I could just do something. Like, I can still do something. It doesn't make a difference whether I'm in bed or whether I'm out and about doing something. So I'm really having to force myself and strive to be the best version of myself. I also don't want to have my son see me in this pain all the time. I don't want him to have to be, like, I don't want him to be so aware that mommy's in pain all the time. And so I do want to continue making videos. I think this is such a fun and creative outlet for me, like, to just pick up the camera, and I feel like I can just talk to you guys, and, you know, maybe one person will watch and maybe 50 people will watch. I don't know, but if you are watching this, thank you for watching. And if you're going through something and you feel completely alone and like you have no idea what you're doing with your life and you just keep getting bad news after bad news, like, I feel you, I understand, and I'm there for you, and I want this just to be a happy place that I can come to when I feel good, and to make videos and connect with you guys. And if you guys are enjoying the videos, then definitely let me know, and definitely let me know if you're going through something in the comments. You know, I want to be there for you guys. If you guys are going to be there for me, I think it's only fair that I'm there for you guys as well. So I think I'm going to call that an end to this video. Yeah, so I guess I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!